Welcome to the Dower Diaries and our second Christmas DIY video for 2023. We love having you here and we hope you'll find some inspiration to be creative this holiday season for your own decorations or maybe even as a gift for someone in your life. If you're new here, we hope you'll like our content and want to subscribe. We do all things home and lifestyle, so if that is something you like, please join us and be a part of our YouTube channel. We love hearing from you all, so please leave us a comment below as to your favorite DIY project from today's video. We once again have some high-end dupes to share from Arhaus, Pottery Barn, and even a higher priced item from Amazon. We have some old Christmas decorations we do a high-end upcycle on, as well as one that just was a fun experiment that turned out really well, in my humble opinion. So, sit back, grab a hot mug of cocoa or your beverage of choice, and let's get to DIY. For this first DIY, you'll need a cardboard cone tree, some red berries. We also used some berry picks that had darker red berries on them. You'll need a pot, floral foam, 2 wooden skewers, and of course, hot glue, which I have a love-hate relationship with. I first needed to add some support for our cone. I used one of the wooden skewers. You can find these in a pack at the dollar store. I used some E6000 glue to keep it in place. A small round piece of floral foam will keep it secure while it dries and also be a support anchor for the second step of assembly, which will come later in the process. Before beginning the process of gluing the berries, we painted the cone with some black spray paint. You can definitely use craft paint as well. I began with the starter row of berries, randomly placing the darker colored ones. Don't worry about getting the berries straight because the more random the pattern, the better it will look in the end. Also be careful, the glue will melt those plastic berries, so let the glue cool just a bit before placing down the berry. Keep placing berries all the way up the tree and don't forget to randomly add the darker colored berries. You will also want to place some berries on their stems to give your tree extra dimension and fullness. Glue the stem down and then cover with additional berries, but be sure to allow the berry on the stem to bend outward. You'll also want to randomly glue berries on top of each other. It will also create more depth and interest to your overall tree. I continued adding layers on top of each other until I was satisfied with the overall appearance. Once I was finished and the glue had dried, I took a very soft bristled toothbrush to wipe away any strings the hot glue left behind. This step just makes the tree look so much better than having all those strings everywhere. Next, I needed to add a cascading effect to the bottom. I glued some berries still on the stem to the inside of the cone to do this. You could certainly glue them to the outside before you start that first row, but I wanted to be able to set my cone down while I was doing the bulk of the layering, so I chose to do it this way. Totally up to you, no right way or wrong way in crafting. I also gave the bottom of the cone a more jagged appearance with the berries so that it wasn't so uniform. I then set the cone aside to allow the glue to fully dry and set, turning my attention to making our terracotta pot look aged like Pottery barns. I had Corey spray paint it all black and allowed it to dry. I then went in with some craft paints, using folk art paints and some other random ones I just had on hand. I used linen, rust pipe, and khaki. They're all in matte to create this look. With a scrunched up paper towel, I dabbed on the darker shade of rusted pipe first, layering as I went to create that depth and aged appearance. I used some water to dilute the remaining two colors of khaki and linen to give the paint a translucent effect. I went in with the lightest color of linen last to give a salted appearance to the pot, which only adds to that aged quality. The overall pot ended up lighter than I wanted, so I went back in with some black, watered down to darken it back up. I then set it aside to fully dry. Finally, it was time to assemble our tree. I used a large piece of floral foam as an anchor in the pot with another skewer in the center. I also added a second round piece of floral foam to keep it secure. This second skewer will attach to the piece of floral foam we added early on in the project to the cone. Just be sure to center your tree over the skewer. And here is our finished Pottery Barn dupe. I think it turned out so pretty, and it only cost us $26 versus the original, which is priced at $99. Our next project is to recreate a set of 3 modern velvet trees as seen on Amazon, Etsy, and a few other places. You'll need cardboard trees in varying sizes, a skein of velvet yarn in your color of choice. I purchased ours from Hobby Lobby. This one is 80 yards, but you won't need it all, and of course, some hot glue. We painted our cones with acrylic paint, folk art, in the color Midnight Blue. This will help to conceal the tree part through the yarn if you have any spacing issues. I started with a tiny bit of glue. Now this is important. Don't squeeze out a lot of glue because it will seep around the yarn and make your tree look, well, not very pretty. You only need a tiny dab every now and then to secure the yarn as you wrap. Starting at the bottom, you will work your way up the cone with the yarn, making sure to keep the yarn pulled snugly, but not too snug or the yarn will break. If you keep it pulled snug, it will allow you to wrap in an even fashion so that it is all uniform. You'll just continue wrapping the yarn all the way up the tree. Super easy, but the end result is really beautiful. You can certainly create whatever color fits your decor. I chose the navy because I use navy in my decorations this year. Also, note that the Amazon trees are made from 3/4 inch velvet ribbon and not yarn, but I preferred the yarn. You can use either of them to create this look. I finished off the top by laying the yarn over and adding a dot of glue. I snipped off the end of the yarn. Here are our finished velvet trees. I absolutely love how they turned out. This is an easy project with high impact. Our trees cost us $8, whereas the Amazon trees retail for $39.99, and I think ours look even better. Next, we tackle an Arhaus dupe. We needed a new doormat for our front door, and I saw this one on Arhaus, but the cost nearly blinded me. To create this mat, you will need a blank Coir doormat. Bought ours at Hobby Lobby for 50% off, which ended up being around $10. A stencil template which Corey drew and cut out himself with some scrap cardboard we had lying around. If you aren't able to draw this out yourself, you can find any number of stencils on Amazon, Etsy, and many other places to purchase. Some are even downloads and pretty inexpensive. We just wanted to keep our costs down, and Corey is very talented at sketching and drawing. You'll also need an X-Acto knife and rubberized undercoating spray paint in black. It's the kind used to protect things from rust. Corey thought it would adhere nicely to the Coir Mat. The really great thing about this project is that you can totally customize the doormat. If you wanted to give this as a gift, you could buy a stencil with their initial or a symbol that may mean something to them. The sky is the limit here, and this project is very easy to accomplish. After Corey drew out the template, he carefully cut out the stencil from the cardboard. Here is a look at our finished stencil. He did such an amazing job, and he freehanded both sides. Next, Corey cut slots in the corners to allow himself a guide to line up with the actual doormat. It also helped when it came time to tape the stencil down to the mat to keep it in place while he painted the image on. He also cut out a small hole in the center of the stencil and placed tape over it to give added security so that the stencil wouldn't move on him. Be sure to cover that hole completely with the tape. Next, he used Iron Armor's rubberized undercoating spray paint to create our doormat. Be sure to use in a well-ventilated space and also wear a mask. This paint has high fumes, so be sure to protect yourself accordingly. We made sure to press down on the stencil to prevent a ton of seepage and to create a clean look from the stencil. Corey is wearing gloves, and I'm using a long wooden dowel to help. Not sure I really helped, but it made me feel like I was. Be sure to use light spritzes of paint from the top and not at an angle, as this can cause the spray paint to go under the stencil. Corey did 2 light coats. You can certainly use a different paint and a stencil brush if that is what you prefer. And now for the big reveal, which we both were nervous about. But it turned out perfectly. Again, so amazed by my hubby. Here's our finished doormat. Our cost was $18, while Arhaus's doormat retails for $199. Even better, ours is completely custom and no one else will have one like it. While we were at Hobby Lobby, we found some scrap fabric for $2. When we realized we had extra cardboard trees, I thought, why not? So we covered the trees with the fabric. I thought creating folds in the fabric to mimic branches on a tree would be a nice effect. Be sure to fold your fabric upwards on the back side so that it will fold downwards on the front side. Corey came up with the idea of just rolling the tree in the fabric, so I dabbed a bit of hot glue on the folds to keep them in place. He made a bottom hem to give a finished look, which we also secured with hot glue. I ran a bead of hot glue down the cardboard tree and placed it on the edge of the fabric, then we rolled the tree, adding more hot glue where needed. Corey cut the excess fabric off while keeping it at a diagonal so that we wouldn't have too much fabric at the top of the tree where it narrowed. Now remember, the point of this look is to have it scrunchy and slouchy. I promise they turn out really pretty in the end. I then finished off the edges with the hot glue, folding and tucking to create a clean edge. And the fur is very forgiving when it comes to the seams. They blend really well, whereas if you have a flat fabric, you'll need to pay better attention to the seams. Also, I wouldn't suggest doing this with a patterned material. The top of the tree was easy to finish off with a dab of glue and placing the material on top. I did this before I finished off the side so that I had enough material to play with at the end. With the slouchy fabric, it blended really well. I then just finished off the side with a tuck and some additional hot glue. And here are our finished white fir trees. I think they are just adorable and so very pretty too. I don't think you would guess that we didn't buy them from a high-end retailer. Easy to do, and they cost us a total of $6. With this next project, we took some old nutcrackers we've owned for probably 18 years. They are 28 inches tall, and some of them broke during our move to Tennessee. I thought it would be nice to give them a more sophisticated look to go with my decor style. So Corey set about fixing them with some wooden dowels, sanding them down and painting them. He did quite a few coats, sanding in between to give them a smooth finish. And I apologize because I lost all the footage of him fixing these up. I was so very upset because they turned out so beautiful. We did remove some of the fur hair and beards, except for the soldier, since he had a fur hat and it would look a little strange. The spray paint Corey used is by Behr, and it's a satin in the color metallic bronze. He did paint each of the parts before reassembling the nutcrackers. And here are the newly upcycled nutcrackers. I think they look simply amazing, and the best part is that it cost us nothing because we already had the spray paint and wooden dowels on hand. You'll also want to give them a good spray of clear coat to keep them well protected. And for our final project today, we are reproducing an Arhaus candle holder. For this, you'll need a wooden ring purchased at Hobby Lobby in their wood section. We repurposed a lid from a spent fall jar candle I owned, a glass hurricane, or as I bought here, a glass vase, some wood glue, metallic gold spray paint, acrylic clear coat, and some rub and buff. Corey began by cutting out a section of the wooden ring so that he could attach it to the wood base. Corey made sure to clean up the edge of his cut so that he had a better surface to use when gluing to the wooden base. He also notched out slots in the base to give it an overall finished look. Next, he glued the ring to the base and allowed to cure. Once the glue had set up, Corey gave it all a light sanding. He then gave it a light coating of acrylic spray so that the raw wood wouldn't soak up so much of the metallic gold spray paint. He did 2 light coats of the clear and allowed to dry. Then he painted the overall piece with some paint we had on hand. It's actually for metal, but it worked out just fine. It's Rust-Oleum's hammered metal in gold. 1 light coat is really all you'll need since we use rub and buff later to give it an aged metal appearance. Using our tried and true pouncing technique, we added some rub and buff in autumn gold, Spanish copper, ebony, and European gold. We We used some E6000 glue to adhere the glass face to the base and added a battery-operated candle to finish the look. Here is our Arhaus dupe. It cost us $7 to make, a far cry from the Arhaus Hurricane retailing at $219. I think it turned out very pretty and gives a very modern look to our Christmas decor. This would be another great gift idea at a minimal cost. We truly hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please hit that like button and share with someone who would enjoy this type of content. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and joining our YouTube family. Our goal today was to give you some inspiration to create your own festive decorations and even some ideas for gifts this Christmas. As always, we appreciate you all so very much. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you all again very soon. Bye for now.